I'll be talking today about Virginia Henderson's need theory. Henderson was born in Kansas City, Missouri, and died in Connecticut Hospice in 1996. She attended the Army School of Nursing in 1921. She was an instructor and educator in 1924. She received her master's and bachelor's degree in 1934 and began her career in research at the Yale School of Nursing in 1953. She was a recipient of the Virginia Historical Nurse Leader Award, a member of the American Nurses Association Hall of Fame, a fellow of the American Academy of Nursing, and she authored one of the most widely used definitions of nursing. Her work is influenced by Edward Thorndike, her experience in rehab, and Orlando's conceptualization of nursing action. The purpose of her theory is to increase the patient's independence and focus on the 14 basic human needs to aid in the recovery process after hospitalization. The four major concepts in Henderson's theory is the person, the environment, health, and nursing. Henderson's theory was derived from her 60 years of service as a nurse, teacher, author, and research. Her goal was not to develop a nursing theory, but to define the unique focus of nursing practice. The type of theory was derived from a philosophy theory. Henderson relates person to her theory by viewing the patient as an individual who requires help towards achieving independence and completeness or wholeness of mind and body. Henderson's theory presents the patient as a sum of parts with biophysical needs rather than a type of client or consumer. This type of view on the patient starts at admission and it continues throughout discharge. Henderson views the environment as a setting in which an individual learns unique patterns for living and in which the patient resides. By establishing an adequate environment, this provides the patient with the possibility to realize that their future recovery depends on how well they can recreate the environment in which they resided in the hospital. Henderson divides health as the balance of all realms of human life, and her intention is to equate it with the independence to perform the 14 needs without assistance. She believed nurses are key persons in promoting health, preventing illness, and curing disease. Henderson relates nursing to her theory by stating, the nurse is to assist the individual, sick or well, in the performance of those activities contributing to health or its recovery that he or she would perform unaided if she had the strength. She emphasized the importance of patient independence so that the patient will continue to progress after being released from the hospital. Henderson described the role of the nurse as substitutive, which is doing something for the patient, supplementary, which is helping the patient, or complementary, which is working with the patient. One concept that is unique is that she based her theory off of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. She explained concepts 1 to 9 are under physiological needs. The 9th component is under the safety needs. The 10th and 11th component are over love and belongings category. The 12th, 13th, and 14th components are under the self-esteem needs. Another concept that is unique is how she defines nursing, as stated by Henderson herself. I say that the nurse does for others what they would do for themselves if they have the strength, the will, and the knowledge. But I go on to say that the nurse makes the patient independent of him or her as soon as possible. The nurse is expected to carry out a physician's therapeutic plan, but individualized care is the result of the nurse's creativity in planning the care. The first assumption of Henderson implies in her theory is that nurses will provide care to each individual until he or she can provide independent care to themselves. The second assumption is that the patient is more likely to return to the previous state of health if he or she is more motivated and driven. The third is that the nurse will commit themselves to the patient day and night. The fourth is that the mind and body are inseparable and interrelated. Virginia Henderson proposes the basic human needs is the central focus of nursing practice. Henderson proposes the importance of the nurse's role is to make the patient complete, whole, or independent. She states the nurse is the temporary, the consciousness of the unconscious, the love life for the suicidal, the leg of the amputee, the eye of the newly blind. Henderson believes the patient would not be where they are today in their time of recovery without the aid of the nurse. Henderson's theory does have a few limitations. The prioritization of the 14 needs was not clearly explained whether the first one is a prerequisite to the other. Another limitation is that there's very little information when assisting the individual in the dying process. One last limitation is that some of the activities listed in Henderson's concepts can only be applied to fully functioning individuals, indicating that there would always be patients who require aided care, which is contrary to the goal of nursing indicated in the definition of nursing by Henderson. Henderson's theory has impacted the past, present, and will continue throughout the future. In the past, Henderson first created this theory to stress a nurse's duty is to the patient rather than to the doctor. Henderson's theory still has a huge impact on current nursing practice because it serves as a guide for the nurses to learn how to identify problems and risks that could implement individuals' chance of becoming independent and healthy again. Henderson's theory will continue to impact the future because it covers the most basic human needs an individual has to acquire to become independent. Yes, it can always change. However, not all of these will change, and nurses will continue to at least teach individuals to meet most of Henderson's needs. Henderson's theory affected nursing education in the past because it changed the way nurses were viewed. Her theory helped the profession of nursing to be educated about how important independency is in an individual's life. Today, Henderson's theory is still taught to new nurses. This is because the 14 basic needs are a priority to the health of individuals. Henderson's theory has impacted nursing education by teaching nurses that 1. Nurses will continue to care for patients until they can care for themselves. 2. Nurses will strive to motivate the patient to return to the previous state of health. 3. The nurses are willing to serve and devote themselves to the patient day and night. And 4. The mind and body are inseparable. In the future, I believe nursing education will continue to be based off the importance of the nurse's role and focusing on most of the patient and nothing else. In the past, Henderson's theory had the most impact on changing the way nursing was researched. She brought the attention to how well nursing practice could be improved by being based off of evidence-based practice. Nursing research utilizes Henderson's 14 basic needs still to this day because of how accurate Henderson's theory is in improving the quality of life for individuals. Research without theory results in discrete information or data which does not add to the accumulated knowledge of the discipline. In the future, I believe nursing research will continue to grow, and Henderson's theory will always be a foundation of the basic needs an individual needs to accomplish in their journey to recovery. Henderson's theory is used in current nursing practice as a way for nurses to set goals based off of Henderson's 14 components. In my practice setting in the CVICU, many of the patients are extremely sick. We have 18 beds and we are 2 to 1. Even though they are extremely sick, that should never stop the nurse from teaching the patient some of the top priority human needs. No matter how sick the patient is, we as nurses will continue to educate the patient to try to do things on their own on a daily basis. Today, not only do I, as a nurse, use this theory to teach the individual the importance of independence to hasten the road to recovery, but other members in the healthcare team, such as physical therapists, occupational therapists, and registered dietitians, all work together to provide the best care to the patient. Like I said earlier, Henderson's theory is used starting from admission to discharge. Her theory teaches me, as well as other nurses, how to learn to identify problems and risks that could impact the individual's chances of becoming independent. One of the biggest struggles today, in my opinion, is trying to meet the physiological needs for the patient. Without motivation and drive, it is extremely difficult to get patients to learn. However, Henderson's model, I would say, is a great research to learn how to overcome these mental health struggles. Another awesome concept in Henderson's theory is that she mentions meeting the patient's spiritual and moral needs. A great resource I like to use is to tell them that they have the chaplain available at all times. I think Henderson's theory can serve as a foundation for new nurses in my current practice setting because it's a great resource to learn and implement in patient care at all times, but especially if new nurses don't necessarily what to do first. I myself am a fairly new nurse, and to this day, we are still taught the importance of meeting patients' basic needs and prioritizing them as well if the patient is only able to meet a few of them. In conclusion, Virginia Henderson is known for many accomplishments as a writer, author, teacher, researcher, and speaker. Her theory will forever be utilized by nurses throughout the world on an everyday basis.